Breaking news just dropped. The Trump DOJ officially agreed to drop their Fifth Circuit case against the mock lawsuit, meaning the nationwide block of the ATF's pistol brace rule now stands permanently. This looks like a complete victory, but here's what will shock you. There's actually a hidden vulnerability in this decision that could come back to haunt gun owners in just 4 years. The last one thing about this settlement that nobody is talking about could leave the door wide open for future anti-gun administrations to bring back these restrictions even stronger than before. If you want to stay informed about critical Second Amendment developments like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you view this so-called victory. The massive scope. Why this affects 40 million gun owners. Here's the staggering reality that most people don't understand about this decision. We're talking about potentially 40 million pistol brace devices that were manufactured and sold in America over the past decade. The ATF estimated that between 10 to 40 million of these devices are currently in circulation, with companies like SB Tactical alone selling over 3 million units since 2012. When the Biden administration implemented their rule, they were essentially turning millions of law-abiding Americans into potential felons overnight, facing up to 10 years in federal prison and $250,000 in fines per violation. This wasn't just about gun enthusiasts. We're talking about disabled veterans who rely on braces for proper firearm handling, competitive shooters, and everyday Americans who purchased these devices completely legally. The economic impact was enormous too, with the pistol brace industry representing over $2 billion in commerce that was suddenly thrown into legal chaos. The Biden administration's shocking reversal strategy. What you won't believe is how the Biden ATF completely flipped their own previous guidance to create this crisis. For over 8 years, from 2012 to 2020, the ATF issued multiple determination letters specifically approving pistol braces and clarifying they were legal accessories. In fact, the ATF issued at least 10 official letters to manufacturers like SB Tactical, Gearhead Works, and others, explicitly stating that pistol braces did not convert pistols into short-barreled rifles. Then, suddenly in 2021, the same agency declared that virtually all pistol braces would now be considered stocks, making millions of previously legal firearms into unregistered NFA items. The most shocking part? Internal ATF documents revealed they knew this reversal would affect millions of Americans, but they estimated only 3% would actually comply with their registration demand. They were literally banking on creating millions of technical felons while knowing most people wouldn't even know they were breaking the law. The $200 tax trap that could have bankrupted families. Here's the financial devastation this rule would have caused that nobody talks about. Each pistol brace owner would have been forced to pay a $200 NFA tax stamp per firearm to avoid becoming a felon. For a typical gun owner with just 3 braced pistols, that's $600 in taxes alone, plus months of waiting for ATF approval, during which they couldn't legally possess their firearms. But it gets worse. Families with multiple firearms could have faced tax bills in the thousands. Consider this. A competitive shooter with 10 braced pistols would owe $2,000 just in tax stamps, and a firearms instructor with 20 training pistols would face a $4,000 bill. The ATF's own impact analysis admitted this could generate over $120 million in tax revenue, essentially admitting they were creating a massive tax grab disguised as public safety. Veterans and disabled shooters, who often rely on multiple braced pistols for different purposes, would have been hit hardest by this financial penalty for their legally purchased equipment. The courtroom. Victory that saved America. Judge O'Connor's bombshell ruling. Judge Reed O'Connor's decision in the Mock versus Garland case wasn't just another court ruling. It was a constitutional earthquake that exposed the ATF's illegal power grab. O'Connor found that the ATF violated the Administrative Procedure Act by abandoning their proposed worksheet 4999 point system and replacing it with a completely subjective standard in their final rule. This wasn't a minor procedural error. It was a fundamental violation of federal law that requires agencies to allow public comment on actual proposed rules. The most damning part of O'Connor's 50-page ruling was his finding that the ATF acted in arbitrary and capricious manner, legal language that essentially means they abused their authority. What makes this even more significant is that O'Connor issued a nationwide preliminary injunction affecting all 50 states, not just Texas, meaning his ruling immediately protected every pistol brace owner in America. The judge specifically noted that the government failed to prove any public safety benefit from their rule change, essentially admitting this was regulatory overreach without justification. The Trump administration's strategic surrender, why they dropped the fight. Here's what will absolutely shock you about the Trump DOJ's decision to drop this appeal. They had a 73% chance of winning based on Fifth Circuit precedent, but they chose to settle anyway. Legal experts analyzing similar cases in the Fifth Circuit found that challenges to federal agency overreach succeed nearly 3/4 of the time in this particular court. The Trump administration could have pushed for a circuit court victory that would have created binding precedent across Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, affecting over 28 million Americans in those states alone. Instead, they chose the guaranteed immediate win over the stronger long-term protection. Internal legal analysts suggest this decision was made because the Trump administration wanted to avoid any risk of an adverse ruling that could have legitimized the ATF's authority to reclassify firearms accessories. By settling now, they ensure that Judge O'Connor's district court ruling stands, but they also leave the door open for future challenges since district court decisions don't create binding precedent for other jurisdictions. The number one, vulnerability. How future administrations could strike back. Here's the last one thing you won't believe about this settlement that could change everything in 2029. Because Judge O'Connor's ruling was based purely on Administrative Procedure Act violations and not Second Amendment grounds. A future anti-gun administration could simply re-implement the exact same pistol brace ban using proper procedures. All they would need to do is propose a rule with the same subjective standards they wanted. Allow a 90-day comment period, then finalize it exactly as proposed. Since O'Connor's ruling didn't address the constitutional issues or the ATF's underlying authority to regulate pistol braces, it provides zero protection against a procedurally correct version of the same rule. Even more concerning, a future administration could use O'Connor's own reasoning against gun owners by implementing an even more restrictive points-based system like the original worksheet 4999, which would technically satisfy the logical outgrowth test that struck down the Biden rule. Legal experts estimate that a competent anti-gun administration could have a new pistol brace ban in place within 18 months of taking office. And this time, it would be much harder to challenge since they would have learned from the Biden administration's procedural mistakes. The settlement that looks like a total victory today could become the roadmap for an even more devastating defeat tomorrow. So there you have it. The pistol brace victory that everyone's celebrating today could become the blueprint for an even worse defeat in just 4 years when the next anti-gun administration takes power. This settlement protects you right now, but it leaves a massive legal loophole that future administrations are already studying to exploit against gun owners. If this information opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because I'll be tracking every move these agencies make to come after your rights. Don't let them catch you off guard again. Subscribe now and stay ahead of the game before it's too late.